Bitcoin and Litecoin correction. Is it over or do we still have further to go? What's up, guys? Crypto Savvy here. Hope everybody's having a fabulous Wednesday. We're going to take a look at the charts, take a look at some key areas to watch, and take a look at where we might be going, starting out with Litecoin, moving on to Bitcoin. And then I'm going to discuss why I think 6,600 is our worst case scenario. I'm not saying it's going to go that low, but I definitely don't think we'll go lower than that. So if you stick around to the end of the video, we'll be looking at the Bitcoin daily chart versus the gold weekly chart, and I'll show you why. If you haven't seen that already, I definitely suggest you stick around to watch that. Very interesting. It'll take fear out of the market for you. Also, don't forget, we have a totally 100% free Discord group with a great community in there, guys. There is a link to that in the description below the video. Definitely check it out. Like I said, totally free, nothing, no charge for anything. So also, there's some more affiliate links down there. There's an ABRA link, Coinbase link, Brave Browser, and Ledger link down there. It really helps the channel out, guys, if you check that out. The Ledger, obviously, keep your crypto safe. Get it off the exchanges if you're not trading it. And the Brave Browser, really great browser. You don't have to watch all the ads and stuff. So definitely check that stuff out. And let's get into the video and see what's going on. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. And as always, I want to start out by saying I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is my opinion and my view of the market only. Anybody who's doing any trading or investing in this market, I suggest you do your own due diligence and your own research, as this market is extremely volatile and risky. Also, keep in mind, it's still a speculative market, so don't put in more than you're willing to lose. With that being said, if you're new here or you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing. Click the subscribe button in the lower right-hand side of the screen. Tick the notification bell, get you notified when I post new videos, as I do post every day. That way you don't miss out on anything. Smash the likes, guys. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. By leaving a comment, I'll also get you entered to win a free t-shirt. On Sunday, we do a drawing from a random comment, and we pick a winner. So, all right, let's get into the charts and looking at Litecoin on the daily. As you can see, I had this target around 240. I moved it up, and I'll show you why here in a few. But we're looking at, or we had been looking at this as a cup and handle, with this right here being the start of the cup, down to the bottom of the cup, up to here, and here's our handle, and the neckline was at about the $95 range. And if we put that measurement to the breakout, that gets us the 167 area, and I am definitely still looking at that area pretty heavily. And we have a higher target here, with looking at this as a bigger cup and handle over here with a smaller handle. And like I said, I'm not 100% sure on this, guys. Obviously, nothing's 100% sure in the market, but the measured move off that would be up to the 192 area. And if you check out this line, not the top one here, that one I think will make itself valid later on, but this top line here, there was 3 touches down here and then almost a 4th touch here. Looking at this as a rising broadening wedge or ascending broadening wedge, and the measured move I have off that getting us up to the 253 area is just a measure of the width of this wedge. And if we were to break out, and of course that'll change depending on where we break out, if we break out of this wedge, but that gets me up to around the $250 area, which over here would be old resistance. If we were to break through that, obviously that would become support, but that's what I'm looking at for that. Let's go into the daily, excuse me, guys. Let's go into the daily RSI and look at where we're at now. We're in a pretty critical area here. As you can see, we have this rising channel that we've been in for quite some time, since back in November, and we dropped out here, which was more as a look at that as a bear trap. But we're in it now, and we're getting support off the bottom again. We do have a little bit room in there if we zoom in, come down a little more, and get a retouch or retest. But let's look at the 4-hour now. And let me go back to that real quick. I do want to point out, guys, if we do break out of the bottom of this, we could pop right back in, because this is the daily, so we'll have all day to pop back in. So keep that in mind if we do drop. But if the daily closes and we're out of this, you know, we could be looking at a bigger correction there. But just wanted to point that out. Now let's go into the 4 hour. And as you can see, this has been very interesting. We had the falling channel here in the 4 hour since back in April. This was our big $1,000 spike here that started all this. And as you can see, we had a falling wedge in here that we broke out of, broke up into a falling channel, broke out of that into another falling channel, broke out of that here into another falling channel. Now, do we break out here? That's what I'm kind of looking at. Or do we come back down and test the bottom of this channel again, which obviously would be very low here in the RSI, but it is possible. I'm steering more towards, guys, breaking up out of this and testing the bottom of this line here. I had this blue channel in here where we broke out of and back in here. We broke out of this time. And possible we come back in, at least test this for resistance. And if we break through, then maybe test the top of this channel again. We'll look at that in the price action. And I'm going to start out with the more bearish scenario first, and then we're going to move on to the bullish scenario. And you guys seen my targets there, so all right, let's look at what's going on here. We had this drawn in as a ascending broadening wedge, and we have another support line here where we were getting support off it here. We broke through, broke back up above it, and tested it again here, broke back down just like we did over here. And as you can see, this is the 4 hour, guys. And this is my 200 EMA. That definitely seemed to have held as support. Now what we're watching here is if we can stay above this trend line right here where we're at now. I'm going to move that. This was my target on that trend line that we broke down past. But as you can see, that's still a area of confluence. We're definitely getting a lot of support and resistance in there. So, but I'm going to get rid of that so we clear the chart up a little bit. And this is my scenario. If this doesn't hold, we have, while I'm videoing right now, we are above it. But I do see some strength in the market here, guys. I don't know that we'll come down and test the bottom of this, but I do want to, whoops, I didn't mean to move that. I do want to move this up probably a little bit now. The bottom of this broadening wedge, the target, and I'm going to move that around the 192 area. So if this doesn't hold, this white trend line here, we'll probably be coming down into this area or retesting the 200 EMA. But guys, it looks pretty safe here right now. But like I said, I always like to take a look at the bearish scenario so nobody's surprised if anything happens. If this 92 area breaks, obviously there's some other supports in here, but I believe if the bottom of this wedge breaks, we're most likely headed down to the $62 range, guys, which is obviously old resistance over here to become new support. And if that breaks, my next target, and I'm going to move that over too because I don't believe it will be directly straight down movement. So I'm going to say around the $54 range. And guys, again, these aren't exact targets, and this is the bearish scenario, and I don't believe this is going to play out. But this is the long-term trend line. I don't believe, even in the worst case scenario, I don't believe we'll ever break below this. And the longer we continue over, the higher this target gets. So, but that's the worst case scenario for Litecoin. And we already took a look at the bullish scenarios, and this is what I'm looking more at. So as you can see, looking at this as that rising wedge, we could have another touch up here in around the $150 range. And the measured move off that, guys, would bring me up to right around that same area, the 205, between 192 and 205 area. I do think we're looking for that as long as this 92 doesn't break. Even though I don't think we're going down to the 92 now. But I definitely, like I said, I just want to point that out for you guys. If you're following along, draw your trend lines in and watch that. That's where I'm at with that. Let's look at Bitcoin. And then after this, we'll move on to the Bitcoin daily versus the gold weekly. All right, so looking at Bitcoin, as you can see, I moved this target here to around 12,000, and I'll show you why here in a few. But we were looking at this as a rising or a broadening, ascending broadening wedge here. And this is obviously the bottom trend line coming off where I believe we bottomed out here. And this is, let's zoom out, this is a long falling wedge that we broke out of here, and you can see what happened after that. That's why I do believe the bottom's in, and I'm going to show you why, you know, people are calling for a bigger correction here. I don't believe, like I said, the worst case scenario, $6,600, but I don't even think we're going to go that low, so starting to doubt that. But anyways, if these targets here, let's look at the higher targets first, then we'll go into the 4 hour and look at the bearish case scenario. But I had this measured as a bull flag here, or a flagpole, and then a bull flag with this yellow line. Now I'm going to take this, well, let me look at we had the measured move off that to the 10, right around the 10.6 area. I'm going to get rid of that target, guys, while we're watching here, because I don't believe that we'll need that there anymore, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So now I'm looking at this as more of a bull flag. Yes, bull flags are usually pointed down, but in a parabolic market like we're in right now, this could be, you know, obviously a bull flag. So taking this and putting it to the breakout up here, that gets us to the $12,000 range, because I'm still looking at this 9,600 area, and that is the measured move. Let's show you real quick. That's the measured move off of this broadening wedge here, guys. We measure the distance from where we broke out right up here, and we put that up to the top. And that's why I've been looking at this since back over here in, you know, the beginning of May, where we broke out of this. So that's the 9,600 target. I'm still looking for that. I have not changed my opinion on that at all. We'll zoom in and check out what's going on now, but I do want to put another target in here, and this one is the measured move of this channel here. And when I zoom in, I'll explain how I got this channel. So anyways, and if we did the breakout up here, this is going to be one of my new targets here, guys. That's going to be around this in here. Sorry, I usually have this stuff already in here, but I wanted to show you guys how I get it and why things change sometimes, especially for anyone new and just learning to chart. And all right, so we'll put a price target in there, and that's going to be right around 11.4, 11.5. And if you remember, we were looking at 11.6 for a while. So I'll say between 11.4 and 11.6 is that target. And that's the measured move of this channel if we were to break out here around the 9,600 range, which no guarantees we break from there, but I do still think we're definitely headed there. Let's go into the RSI now and look at the daily RSI and what's going on with that. We were watching this rising channel since over in November. I think we actually started watching it in December. Yeah, right around in this area when we made this other peak. So now what we had here, I cloned this line and moved it down when we touched here, and we were getting support, got support, and we've broken through that line now, guys. I had this falling wedge drawn in here yesterday, and we broken out of that, if in fact that's what that was. And we're probably going to come up and test it for support again in the daily, or test it for resistance, and could break through and come back up and test this channel. But let's take a look at the 4 hour, if this ever loads, and see what's going on with that. Okay, in the 4 hour, with this same thing, this rising channel from way back in here, we were watching it, but we had this rising wedge in here we were watching, and we broke down out of, come down, didn't quite touch the bottom of the channel, came back in, and now we're in a falling channel here. We came down into the oversold, and we've gotten a bounce. Now we've broken out of this channel, and it looks like we're getting resistance to get back in it. I do believe we'll probably most likely pop up back up in it. We may get some sideways action here first. Now let's go into the, let's go into the price action. I'm going to take a look at the bearish and then the bullish scenario, guys. All right. Starting out with the bearish scenario, and this is going to get kind of confusing if you haven't been watching, but if you have been watching, it'll make sense to you. So, and if you are just starting to watch, if you stick around and keep watching, it's a lot easier to keep up with the updated videos. Right in here, like I showed you in the daily, is our flag pull, and this was what I was looking at as the bull flag, but I'm still keeping this line here, guys, but I believe it's invalidated as a bull flag right here when we broke back down underneath it. But I do have this rising channel here now. I'm going to show you how I got the rising channel. Yesterday, I drew this line in here in yesterday's video, and I drew it from this peak right here. I was not looking at this, you know, when we had our big flash crash here. I was not looking at this wick. I was kind of just not paying attention to it, and I was more looking at this wick up here. If you can see, let me zoom in. This wick here, and we did, you know, it looked valid right here when we got some support, but obviously we broke through, and I should have done it yesterday, but I should have went off of this wick here yesterday when I drew that in. And this is just a cloned line of this line up here. So obviously this is a channel now, a rising channel, and this is going to be the key area. The bottom of this channel is going to be the key area to watch. I'm going to move this target over a little, guys. I don't know why, but I just started lagging really bad. All right, so moving that up to about the 7150 area, and that's if we were to break down out of this channel. Now, the other thing I want to look at real close before we discuss the bearish scenario and then move on to the bullish is, as you can see, I keep this line here, and if you guys watch my channel, you'll understand why I keep the lines there, because they usually, in the future, they still have significance, so I leave them there. And as you can see, we're trying to break this area now. I'm going to get rid of this target. That was a target for, you know, coming down here. That was one of the first targets, and then this is obviously another one. But I'm going to get that out of the way now. But as you can see, that's still a meaningful number because we're getting a lot of resistance there now. So, excuse me. But anyway, now what I'm looking at is if we can break above this and make it support, then obviously we continue up in this channel. But if not, if we get resistance here, come back down. You know, there's always a possibility we bounce around in here for a while and then go up or come down. So if you guys draw this line in and keep an eye on this area, and as you can see, if it was to come down now, it would line up with the 200 EMA again, which acted as support right here. But if we're to break this area, and I'm going to call it around, right around the 7550 area, or 7540, if we break down below that, we'll just say 7,500, then we're probably most likely headed to the 7154, which is the top of that broadening wedge that we looked at in the beginning. And if this wasn't to hold, guys, then we're looking at the 6632 area. And I had a measured move off of that. Show you. If we take this over here and look at this as a rising wedge with this thinner line, as you can see, we broke down out of it, came back up and tested it. So that could possibly still be valid, and that would be the bearish scenario. And the measured move off that is at the 6600 area. And that matches up with something in the next charts we're going to look at, which is a Bitcoin daily versus gold weekly. So anyways, that's why I believe that's the worst case scenario, and I'll show you why again in the next one. But if this channel does hold, we could still be going up to my target of 9600, which I'm still pretty confident in, unless this bottom channel breaks here. And then obviously we're looking at the 7150, but Keep in mind, if that line doesn't hold, then my next support is the 6600, and I don't believe that'll break no matter what. But again, guys, until I break out of this channel, I'm still looking for the 6600 or 9600 area. So let's go into the Bitcoin daily chart versus the gold weekly chart. And if you guys see the resemblance there, it's amazing. And I do believe a pattern is a pattern, and patterns are made by human emotion in the charts, and human emotion never changes. That's why I really believe in patterns. I know a lot of people don't believe in patterns. But as you can see, this seems to be playing out beautifully. I've made trend lines from each peak over here in Bitcoin down to where it broke down at 6,000. And when we zoom in here in a minute, you'll see that each one became resistance and then became support once we broke through. So, and we'll see that I don't usually watch other analysis videos, but because for one thing, it screws up my view. When I first started charting, I would watch other guys, and you know, I would be looking at one thing and then they would change my mind and it would end up screwing me up. So I try not to watch any other analysis video. Not that I think they're bad. I try not to skew my view. And another thing, I don't believe in those guys that sell you the courses and stuff, guys. We've talked about this before, but I like to stress this point. If they were that good, they wouldn't need to be selling courses. They're obviously trying to take the risk away from their trading and make money off of you. There's so much free information on the internet, guys. And the best way to learn is experience and time. You got to put the time and the experience in. By paying for someone's course, that's not giving you a bunch of experience. You got to actually put your time in and watch the charts, learn how to chart, understand the movements. That's experience, and time is something that can't be taught. So don't pay for that crap. You're getting ripped off, guys. I can't stress that enough. I can't stand when people pay for them courses and crap. So anyways, let's look at my target for the end of the year, for one, right here, 46,000. And that's not to say we don't go higher, but that is my target, guys. Unless, and we'll discuss what'll invalidate that here in a second. So anyways, let's look at the gold now, and you can see what happened to gold. And right in here, 2003, gold's ETF was approved. I know they say it won't affect Bitcoin and whatever, but it's obvious, guys, what an ETF can do, because all the institutional money is easier to get in there. So definitely, you see what happened there. And in Tone Vays' video this morning, he said that, like I said, I don't watch other analysis, but if you guys watch my channel, you know how I feel about Tone and Tyler and what I think about them. But I did watch a little bit this morning just to see what he has to say. I always just let it go in one ear and out the other. But he said never has he seen a bottom like this. Never seen a bottom like this. That's not how something bottoms, he says. Well, that's funny, because that's exactly how Bitcoin, or how gold bottomed. Exactly. I mean, look at it. He said he never seen a bottom like that. This is the same damn bottom. Just like the hyperwave theory was supposed to go down to, you know, what, $1,000. If this sure looks like a hyperwave to me, or diaper wave, whatever you want to call it. I think it's bullshit that they made everybody think that, you know, $1,000 Bitcoin was coming and people lost out on buying the bottom. But anyways, the hyperwave would have brought this down here. But as you can see, never happened. We got two touches on this bottom trend line, and boom, we see what happened after that. That's where I'm at with Bitcoin. Same thing, two touches on this bottom trend line, gone up. Now, like I said, there was each one of these lines I've drawn off of each peak was resistance become support all the way up. And this last line here, I want to give a shout out to Predator. He pointed this out months ago when we put this in. I only had these descending lines, and then he pointed this out in our Discord, and I've had this line ever since. Makes a whole lot of sense here. And once we broke through, I don't believe, obviously in that flash crash, we came down, tested it, and went up. But we look here, if we were to come directly down today, I do believe wholeheartedly that this is going to hold as support in worst case scenario if we come down to it. And if we came directly down to it today, it'd be at around the 66, 66.50 area. I don't see this line breaking, guys. I definitely see that holding. I don't even know for sure that we're going to go back down and test it. But if we did, I do see this holding. So that's why I say 6,600, the worst case scenario going down. I believe we'll get some heavy support here. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, I'm gonna back up here in a minute after we go through this and show. You know what? I'm sorry to skip around, but I want to show you guys this real quick. Like I said, looking for this in Bitcoin to, if we can break above this, back above this trend line and get support off it. If we go into the smaller time frames, I'll show you how I like to look at my EMAs. All right, so as you can see, the smaller EMAs, which are my 8. This one is my 8 or my 21, my 14, and my 8. Actually, here, 13. My 21, my 13, and my 8. When these all cross over, guys, and like I said, I'm in the hour. I'm in the hour chart right now. But as these cross over, if these all flip up and cross here, that's going to be bullish. And then once these 3 lines cross the 55 EMA, that's really bullish. So if we get up here and get support, and you know these my smaller EMAs end up crossing the 55, that will be very bullish. Now you can go down in the smaller time frames and kind of get a clue what's going on. And if we look at the 15-minute and see what's going on in there, what usually happens in the 15 moves on to the hour. And as you can see, we've crossed over the 55 here in the 15. Now, if we can continue up and that moves on to the hour, it's just going to remain more and more bullish and keep going up. So we definitely might be all right here with, for at least, you know, another move up to it, back up to the 82 to 8400 range, if this correction isn't over, and then back down. But there's a good possibility it's over, guys. So like we discussed there, if we came straight down, we're looking at 6600. Worst case, very worst case scenario in my opinion. If we stay within that channel moving up, you know, obviously this would have been the bottom of this correction here at the 7400 or whatever, it hit 75. And if we take a look at the percentage that corrected, it would be right around 18%, somewhere in there. 18% correction right there. So if we were to go down all the way to the 6600 area, that would be a 26% correction. Actually, move this up a little, about a 28% correction. I don't think we necessarily have to do that. So I'm going to go into the RSI now and show you what I've been watching, or we've been watching on this channel since back in January when I started looking at the gold versus Bitcoin chart. And as you can see, here's a 2013 bull market followed by the bear market, 2017 bull market followed by the bear market. These trend lines here, we got resistance twice before breaking through and the bull market began. Same thing over here, guys. We got resistance twice before breaking through. And as you can see, once we broke into this overbought area, we just kept bouncing around, and that was obviously the bear market, or the bull market, I'm sorry. I do believe the bull market has begun. And like I said, I'm still calling for 46,000 by the end of the year. Now let's take a look at the monthly RSI. If you guys have been watching, you know I've had these two arches here. And this is the 2013 bull market followed by the bear market. Each one of these arrows represents a new low in the RSI. We had 4 of them before the bull market began. Same thing, 2017 bull market, 2018 bear market, 4 lows in the RSI, and bull market has begun. The only difference I think is going to be here, guys, is this arc's going to be a lot quicker, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, guys. Don't forget to smash the likes. Click the Crypto Savvy logo above my head if you're not subscribed yet and you want to get subscribed. If you like the content, Also, don't forget to tick the notification bell to get you notified when I post new videos. That way you don't miss out on anything. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you tomorrow.